Hi folks, this is Karim Rao from IT Visualizer channel. We will continue our lab, the Red Alert lab. This is the video number 9. We have been discussing in the previous video the following. We have created a third virtual machine. We have previously created two virtual machines. The first one, it is a domain controller, and the second one, it is a workstation that had joined the domain. And the domain controller, we have operating system on it installed, the Windows Server Data Center Core. It's a non-graphical interface system, so you need to manage the Windows using commands or commands through a black screen. Okay, so most of us doesn't know how we can deal with such a system, and why we have installed this system from the first place, because it's more secure, it has less size, so it takes less size from the partition or from the hard disk, and it takes less updates as it's more secure. Okay, and this is why we recommend using something like this in secure environments. Okay, and we will manage this non-graphical interface operating system using a workstation that had joined the domain, and on this workstation we will install, or we have installed, three utilities: the Windows Admin Center, the Remote Server Access Tools, and the Server Manager. These three tools have graphical interface. Through it we will connect remotely to our domain controller and configure it. Okay, so this was done in the previous videos, and we have, as I said before, two virtual machines created, and actually we have done a lot of things. We have created users, groups, computers, and we have done this through using the workstation that has the graphical interface on it. And as I said before, the graphical interface tools will connect remotely to the domain controller, and from it we can do a lot of things. Anyway, so we have done a lot of things in the previous videos. This video or the previous video, we have a third virtual machine created, and we also installed Windows Server Data Center Core on it, and it will be our additional domain controller. And actually it will not only be an additional domain controller, it will be a file server, it will be a WSOS, it will be a DHCP server. All of this will be done to the third virtual machine. Just a moment, guys. So let's continue, guys. As I said before, we have this server to be an additional domain controller and a lot of things, and as a best practice you don't need to install anything on a server if you installed or if you make it a domain controller. So you have a server, if you have it as a server role to be a domain controller, you should not have anything installed with this role. So if you have a server, you only needed to make it as a domain controller. If you need to have file server or WSOS or DHCP, you can do this on separate servers. Okay, so you cannot combine one server to be a domain controller, WSOS, DHCP, file server. This is not recommended by Microsoft. The recommendation is to have the domain controller installed separately on a server. Okay, so this is best practice of Microsoft. So what if we don't have a lot of servers? What for example, if you have two servers? So the first server should be a domain controller or primary domain controller, and you not need to install anything else on the server and leave it as it is. And then you have a second server which will be our additional domain controller. You can make it additional domain controller and make it file server and WSOS and DHCP. This is acceptable. Okay, but you need to make sure that this server contains a lot of RAMs and a lot of hard disk, because WSOS takes a lot of space, and the file server as well. So you need to have a good server. Anyways, we have created the third virtual machine. We have installed the Windows Server Data Center Core on it, and we have after that we have promoted the server. Okay, after installing the operating system, we have promoted it to be an additional domain controller, and then through the workstation that has Windows 10 installed on it, we used the Windows Admin Center to install file server role and DHCP server role on this newly added domain controller or additional domain controller. And then we have configured the DHCP scope So we have configured DHCP, and then we configure the scope of the DHCP, which is the range of IP addresses this DHCP will distribute, and then we have allowed the filter called allow and deny filter. This is an option in DHCP that will help you to block some PCs or allow some PCs to take IP address from the DHCP using the MAC address. Okay, so if you know the MAC address of your network card on a certain machine, you can tell the DHCP to give it IP address or to block it from getting IP addresses. Okay, and as I said before, we have added the file server role and DHCP role to our newly added virtual machine, which act as an additional domain controller. All of this will be done using the Windows Admin Center, okay, and the remote server administration tools. So this was done in the previous video. What we will do in this video we will begin after we have installed our file server role. We need to create some folders on the file server and share it to different departments. So we have different departments in our domain. We need these departments to put their important data on our file server, especially on the folders that we have created for them on the file server, and they will be able to access these folders by sharing them. So we will create different shared folders so the departments can put their data on it. So we will do this using a PowerShell script, and we will create something called Active Directory home folders. These are folders created on the file server for every Active Directory user, okay, and every Active Directory user will be able to control his folder. So for example, if we have 200 users in the Active Directory, every one of these users will have a folder on the file server to put his personal data on it, and he will be the one to control it, and he the only one that can see it. As for the folders that we will share for certain departments to put their data on it, we will also control which folder to be accessed by which department or which Active Directory group. So we will have a folder created on the file server for accounting team, for example, and we will share it for the group called accounting on our Active Directory. Okay, so this will be the only group that can access this shell folder on the file server. We will see this how all of this will be done using PowerShell scripts. So let's have a look on this script. So for example, we will have a script to create a lot of folders. So here we have 1, 2, or we have 1, 2, 3, 4, actually about 30 folders for 30 departments. For example, this is for the IT, this is for the IT of the Japanese army, this is for example the USSR, for the Russian army, for example this is for the Navy department in the Japanese army. So we have a lot of folders. We will have a script that will create a bulk of folders at once. This will be done using this script, create folder script. Let me show you all. So we will edit it. So this is the script. Here you tell him to create, this is the main folder, it's called data cube. Under this folder we will create all of the folders, okay, that I have shown you from a couple of seconds from a file called text file. So the script will create a bulk of folders. Their names will be in a text file, and it will be created in a main folder called data cube. So what is folder.txt? Remember, here is the folder. So this is scripts and this is the folders.txt. This is the one. Okay, so if we see the script folders, okay, this is folder.txt. This is the folder that contains the names of the folders that we need to create. So it will create these folders in the D partition under data cube folder. So this is the script to create the folder. So the first step for creating folders and share it to departments on our file server so they can access it and put the data, you first need to create the folders. This is the first one, and then we will have another script, this is script, this script, what will do, it will share the folders. So here we can see that this script, it will share the folder. For example, we have a folder called ally data cube, remember this folder. So we have a folder called ally, it will be shared under ally's name, and we will have this active directory group army.ally or army ally. It will have change permission on this shared folder or on this folder. So this is a script that will share the folders and give certain active directory groups permissions on this shared folder. So this is the second step. The first step is to create the folders in data cube, and then the second step is to share the folders and give certain active directory groups permissions on it to access it. This is the third thing. This is the SMB share permissions. Okay, so these are the permissions. We will have another kind of permissions to be added to this folder. So the permissions here control how these groups will access or what they will do in this shared folder. So for example, this group in the active directory can change the folder, can add and delete from the folder. So this can be done by this group. This is called SMB share permissions. We will have another kind of permissions. We will do something called NTFS permissions. It does the same thing like the SMB share permissions. It gives certain active directory groups certain permissions on the folder. So how this will be done? The folders in data cube, we will have a text file that contains the groups in the active directory that we need, and the permissions they are granted on all of the folders in data cube. So how this will be done, let me show you this text file. So let's see this text file. It's called NEFS group. If we open the Excel sheet here, for example, we can see that this is the one. So here we can see that this is the folder name, this is the group that will have full control over the folder. So we have a folder called allies. This group will have full control over the folder, and this group will have modify on this folder. Okay, so these are the folder names. These are the permissions that will be granted for certain groups, and these are the names of the groups. So this will be done at the third step. So the first step is to create the folders. The second step is to share the folders and give them SMB share permissions, and the third step is to give them NTFS share permissions. Why we have two permissions on one folder? This is something like have a safe with two keys. It's more secure. And by the way, the SMB share permissions and the NTFS share permissions have the same effect. So for example, if I give this group modify on the folder of allies, the same like giving them change permission in the SMB share permissions. Okay, so the same, we are doing the same. We have two permissions that have the same effect on the folder. Okay, so this we'll do in this video. We will create the folders, share the folders, and give certain groups in the active directory certain permissions on it. This is for the department shared folders. What about the active directory home folders? There is another script here. Let me show you all. This is a script that what it will do, you will have a folder called biochips. This folder we will have or we will create in it for every user in our active directory. We will create a folder in this main folder, and we will give him full control over his folder. So for example, if Karim has a folder in this main folder, he can open it and use it. But if Ahmed try to access Karim folder, he will not be granted access. He can only access his folder. And how the script will know the folders or the name of the folders that he need to create it in this main folder? There is also a text file here. Let me show you all this text file. Where is the text file? This text file is called Marvel Home Users. So here what we will see here, this is the name of the folder. So we will create a folder for every user in our Active Directory in a main folder called bioships, and this folder name will be like the name of the account of the user. So for example, I have a user in the Active Directory called Keraof. I will have a folder for me created on the file server called Keraof. Okay, so this is it. This is the name of the folder, and this is the location of the folder. This is the name of the folder, and this is the location of the folder. Okay, so sorry, this is the name of the user, not the this is the name of the user, and this is his location. Okay, so the script will go and read all of the users in my Active Directory, their location, and according to this data he will create folders for the users by his username. Okay, we will see that when it is created. I will show you all this. So let's see how we will do all of this practically. So let's begin working. Let me show you all this. Let's close this one, and then we will open this. Okay, and we'll do this remotely from the this POW workstation. So first we will open the primary domain controller. Okay, and then it's already done. First we'll take a snapshot before creating the folders, before file server. So I'll take a backup of this virtual machine, which is our primary domain controller, and we will take also backup of this virtual machine, which is acting our secondary domain controller and file server as well. So let's wait and see. So it's here, it's taking the snapshot, saving, and it succeeded. Now we will open the third virtual machine, and then we will wait. Now we will take also snapshot, take a snapshot before file server, and you will take a snapshot. This is like taking a full backup of the machine, and then pause the video until it is finished. So it's 97%, 98%, 99, and then 100%. Now we can open the POW, or the Privilege Access Workstation. This workstation contains all of the remote tools that we can use to access both servers, okay, remotely, and to configure them. And these tools are graphical interface tools, or they have a graphical interface. Okay, so now we will open the POW, and then we will log in with the domain admin account. Okay, this is the warning message we have created earlier. Now we will use Keraof, the admin account, or domain admin account. Okay, and then we will go there. So here we will open the console, or first of all we need to have the folder of the scripts that we use to be put on the additional domain controller. Okay, so I will go to the departition on my primary domain controller. So here I will go to departition, and then copy the folder of scripts and put it from here to there. Okay, so let's see this. So here we have the folder of red alert. Inside it we have a folder for scripts. It's in COVID-19. And then we will open DC domain, and then you have the folder of scripts. We need to copy it, okay, and put it on our additional domain controller. This is the one that contains all of the scripts that we will use, the one that I have discussed earlier, okay, or I showed you on its location earlier, okay. So now we will go to the second additional or second domain controller and go to the D partition and paste the folder. And now after doing this, we will open our Windows Admin Center and access this folder using the PowerShell script, or access it using the PowerShell module remotely, of course. Here we need to create a folder called DataCube. We have discussed what is DataCube for, and we have another one called BioShips. These two folders should be created, okay. So one for the department shared folders and the other for the Active Directory home folders. So now we will have our script, this script that will create the bulk of folders in the DataCube folder, and these folders are for the departments, okay. So we need first to make sure something to be changed, okay, in each one of these scripts. So let me show you all what I mean by this. So we can have it a little bit like this, okay, just a moment. So I think pause the video. Here we can see that, remember that this is the COVID-19 DC domain script. So this is the location of the text file that contain the name of the folders that I need to create, but this location, it's not on my additional domain controller. I have scripts folder on the root D, so I need to tell him these scripts because this folder, it's not in these subfolders, okay. So now I have copied the folder and put it on the D partition of my additional domain controller. So, and this folder contains the text file that contains the name of the folders that I need to create. So we need to change it. This is not D COVID-19 DC domain scripts, it's D directly scripts, so we need to change it. And as for the location, it's DataCube. There is already in the D called DataCube, so we have already named it. I need just to copy the name correctly, so I have it the same. So here I will take the name of the folder and go to the D partition. Remember, this is the folder of scripts, it's in the D, okay, and this contains the folders.txt, okay, that will contain the name of the folders that I need to create it as a bulk, okay. So this is the allocation. In the script it is called not D scripts, it's D COVID-19 DC domain, so I need to change the location to reflect the correct location on this server, okay. So now I need to change the folder of DataCube, okay, to be the same like the script, okay. So now we have both done. Now we need to go and run these scripts, all of them. This is for the Active Directory home folders, okay. We need also to change the location of the users, okay, that will be created, or the home folders that will be created. We need also this to be, so hi guys, here we can see if we got a couple of seconds here. So here we can see that this is a text file that this script will use to create a folder for every user in my Active Directory. This text file, it is in D scripts, not D COVID-19 DC domain. So also this need to be changed, okay, because if you copy it, remember here is D scripts. This is the where is it? This is Marvel, it's in D scripts, not D COVID-19 DC domain. So here it is, this is it, and the folders also in the D scripts. So these two scripts should be edited for the correct location for folders.txt and Marvel users home, okay. So we need to reflect or to edit these scripts, and I will show you all when we do this what will happen. First we will create a folder called BioShips. This is the folder, and the only thing we need to do here is to have permissions or this folder. So for the script that will create Active Directory home folders for every user in my domain, to this to work, this folder should be shared. So we need to share this folder, and put SMB share permissions and NTFS share permissions. Why is this? Because every user should be able to access this folder and then access his subfolder. So we need to have certain permissions to be put in on this folder, and this folder should be shared. So first of all, we will put the NTFS share permissions, and then we will put the SMB share permissions. So let's wait and see how this will be done. Security. We will do this later, but wait for a moment. Here we'll go to, we will put permissions later on this folder, so take a note. Now we'll open the Windows Admin Center. Okay, and then we will access the file server here, and then we will open from this server a PowerShell or a remote PowerShell session, and then begin applying the different scripts. Okay, so now we will go to the PowerShell. Okay, so this is a PowerShell, remote PowerShell to the server. Then we'll go to the departition. First of, just wait for a moment. So here we'll go to so I'm logged in to this PowerShell as Keraof. Now we'll put D, go to the departition and open the scripts of folder. First of all, I will list the folders. All of these are the folders on my departition, and then I tell him to go to the scripts folder. Okay, and then I will begin listing what is in the scripts folder, and then I will begin creating or running the first script, which is create folder scripts.ps1. You can type create and press tab. It will complete the name of the script. So we'll do this ps1. So we will do again create and then press tab and then press enter. Okay, here we will encounter an error. Why? Because as I said before, this script will create a bulk of folders. Okay, their names are in a certain text file, so he can't find folders.txt in the COVID-19 DC domain. Okay, as I said before, this location, it is not there, it's in the scripts, so I need to edit the script and change the location. Okay, so we'll do this now. So we need to go to the script itself and edit it. So we will minimize it and we will go to the script. So I open my departition on my server or my file server. Okay, and then we need to edit the script. So we open scripts and then we will right click and edit. Okay, and then we need to change to remove these two folders because it is in scripts. We have only one folder. Okay, it's scripts. Okay, and this is the text file, and then save it, and the name of the folder is correct. So let's now run the same script again and see if we have any error appearing. So now we will again run the script and press enter. So now all of these folders are created. So we have successfully created all of these folders. Okay, so we can go to the data cube and see if all of these folders are created. So now we have a successful creation of the folders. Let's go and see. So we'll open run and then the departition on my file server and then open data cube. Here we can see that all of the folders are created. Okay, so now I have a successful creation of the folders. Now we need to share them and put permissions on them. So I need to use the second script. Okay, the second script, it is in D and then scripts, and then we need to use the SMB share permissions. This is the second script that we will use. Okay, so we need first also to have a look on the script. Okay, this is a script. We need to see if when we implement it, will the folders be shared and we can access them? Let's see. Okay, so let's see if this will happen. This, I said before, discussed what is this script. And by the way, there is something I need to discuss here. This script will share certain folders to certain Active Directory groups, and will give not only sharing the folders and giving certain Active Directory groups access to it and certain permissions on it, but you can add multiple groups to have multiple permissions on the same folder. And I need to also remove certain groups not to have access on this shared folder. For example, by default, when you share a folder, there is a group called everyone. It have full control over the shared folder. We need to remove everyone because everyone will give all of the users access to the folder, and I need only certain users to have certain access to certain folders. So all of this will be done in one script. So this script will create folders, sorry, it will share folders and give certain Active Directory groups permissions on it, and will give also additional groups additional permissions on the same folder, and it will remove everyone from all of the shared folders in the DataCube folder. So let's see how this will be done. So we will run the script. This is SMB, and then press enter. Here we will encounter, or we will see a couple of errors appearing. Okay, so some folders are created, some folders are shared and the others are not. So why is this? We need to, I will tell you all what is the problem, but first we need to go and see in the DataCube folder if certain folders are shared, or we need to make sure that certain folders or our folders are shared. How we can do this? Actually, DataCube contains the folders, but to know if the folders are shared or not, we can go to here, if a tab called Files and File Shares. We will go and see. So we have in the DataCube about 30 folders, so we need to see if we have 30 shared folders. We can see it. So we can see it from here. We go to the files. So let me show you all how we can know that these folders are shared. So we have a couple folders shared and the others, or a lot of them, are not shared. So how we can know this? We will go to something called File and File Shares in this Windows Admin Center section. So here it's saying that it doesn't know the parameter of that. I will discuss what is the error or what was the cause of this error, but first, to make sure that the folders are shared, we need to check from a certain option. So we'll go here to Files and File Sharing. So we'll go there. First we need to continue, or we need to first disconnect from the PowerShell. So we'll disconnect this PowerShell or remote PowerShell session. Some errors saying that the system cannot find the specified file, and some are called argument or argument not correct. So I will tell you all what is the cause of this error, but here we go to Files and Sharing, or Files and Sharing. And then we can go to File Shares. Here we will see all of the shared folders on this server. So we will see if we have succeedingly created 30 shared folders for our 30 folders in DataCube. Let me show you all what I mean by this. So here we will open File Shares. So we will wait for a second. So here what happened, here we have only 1, 2, 3. We have 3 folders only shared, okay, in DataCube, but the rest, it is not shared. So there is a problem. Here we can see that this folder is shared in DataCube, and this folder is shared, and this folder is shared. Okay, so you can click on this folder and tell him to remove the share if you need, or edit the share if you need to edit the permissions on the share. All of this can be done, but here we can see that we have only 3 folders shared, the others are not. and they are shared and they have permissions added to them, okay, by the way. So we need to see what was the cause for the other folders not to be shared. So this is another thing we need to discuss. So you can see that only 3 folders are shared. So what I will do, I will delete the folders from the data cube and create them again, and then share them again, okay, but after fixing the error. I will show you all that there is something in the script itself, it need to be changed. But first of all, I go to the data cube and then remove all of these folders. I will remove them, okay, and create them from the start. So I remove all of them and create them from the start, okay. And but let me show you all what is the main issue here in this script. So let me show you all what is the problem here. The problem is that, see the name of this folder, it's called Empire of the Sun. There is spaces between the name of the folder, okay. So rule number 1, if you are working with PowerShell, PowerShell doesn't accept spaces. So when you see or you try to think like a PowerShell, so the PowerShell, you tell him to create a share called Empire of the Sun. So this is correct, okay. He will create a share called Empire of the Sun. The path is d data cube Empire. When he see a space here, he considers that the name of the folder is Empire, and off is another folder, and there is another folder, and Sun is another folder. So the spaces are recognized as another folder, or he doesn't accept the space. So what can we do? How we can force the PowerShell to accept this whole or this 1 2 3 4, these 4 letters or these 4 words to be accepted and created by the PowerShell? We will put commas between from the Empire, we put comma here and comma there. So this will fix the error. When the PowerShell sees that this name, it is between brackets or between commas, he will know that these are all one folder or all one name, okay. Okay, so this is only one name for one folder, okay. So these are all created, so we need to put commas between them. So between the Empire of the Sun, so we need to put commas, okay. This is how we can fix this error. So let me show you all how this will be fixed later. So we can go to 37 here, okay. Let me show you all how this will be done. So 37, okay, let me show you all. So here what we will do, here we will fix, or we put as I said before, we will put dots or we put commas, okay. So here we'll put commas between this one, so we'll put comma here and comma there. So every folder that its name contains spaces between it, so we'll put it between brackets, okay, between commas, so the PowerShell can accept the name, okay. So if you need to create folders and share them using PowerShell, remember for the folder name not to have spaces between its words, okay, because the PowerShell script will not accept it, okay. So we will do this for all of the folders, okay, that have spaces between its names, okay. So we'll do this, and then infantry. So all of my folders contain spaces, okay. So this should be done. Let me pass it real quickly. So we are doing all of this, okay. So all of our folders will be put between commas, okay. So let me continue back, okay. So let me continue, okay. And all of this is, I am just passing it real quickly so we can see all of these, okay. And then all of these lines are to share folders and give certain Active Directory groups permissions on these shared folders, and then from this line it is telling him to grant additional groups additional permissions on the shared folders. So this is the second line that will be granted, and after finishing all of these lines, there is at the bottom lines to remove everyone from every shared folder. Okay, so now we are doing all of this, so we have changed them. So here we can see that revoke, what do I mean by revoke everyone group from the IT all shared folder. So everyone group should be removed from the shared folder IT all, and all of the folders, the group everyone, it is given permission by default on any shared folder to have full control. So we need to remove them all, or read at least. So we remove them all. So let's see after changing these permissions what will happen. So let's see how this will be done. So we will save the script. So let's see, we will save the script. So everything are shared now, not shared, everything is changed. Let me see if we now use the script, we will see errors or not. So let's see how this will be done. Now we will go to the PowerShell. So now we have our data cube folder. We don't have any folders created. Now we need to create the folders again, and then we'll use the script SMB to share the created folders. So now we will go to the PowerShell again, and then we will go to the departition, okay, and tell him cd scripts. We go to the folder of scripts, and then we tell him dir, and then we will use the create folders. Okay, this is the first script, and press enter. So he have created all of the folders. Now we will share them using the SMB script, and press enter. Now we can see if there is an error appear. We can wait for a couple of seconds. Now everything is working smoothly. All of the folders are shared, and the groups are giving the permission. Some have allow to full control or change, and then we run the NTFS permissions. So this is the SMB share permissions. We run the third step is to have our NTFS permissions added. So we'll press enter. But here I forgot to change the location, so I need to go and change the location. We will close this folder, and then we will edit the script, run, and then open the departition, and then open the scripts folder, and then the NTFS permissions, and tell him edit. And then we need to change the location of DC domain. It is only DC scripts. Okay, so this is it, and then save, and then close the script, and then run it from the Windows Admin Center. We'll create, or we will run the script. So now we have everything set. We can check every folder and see if it contains the correct permissions, but we need to know if the folders are shared or not. So we need to go to the file and file shares from here and see if the folders are already there. So we will go up, we go here to files and shares. Here we tell him continue. So first of all we need to disconnect from the PowerShell, and then go to files and shares. Okay, and then go to file shares and see the folders that are created, or the folders that are shared. So now we go to file shares, now we can see that all of the folders are shared. So we have here spaces between the names. So here we can see, first of all, what I will do here, let me show you all. If we go a little bit space here, remember these are all the folders that are shared. Now we need to share the folder called biochips. This folder, it is the folder that we will have all of our Active Directory home folders created in them. So we need to share this folder, and put certain permissions on it, so my script that will create bulk of folders for my Active Directory users should work. So let's see how we can do this. Now we will open file shares, and then we tell him new share. Then we need to share the folder called biochips. So we'll go here to the D partition, and then we need to share the folder of biochips, this folder that will contain the Active Directory home folders for my Active Directory users. So for the script to work, we need to share this folder and give certain Active Directory groups, especially a group called domain users. Domain users, it is a default Active Directory group, okay, that the Active Directory put all of the users in it. So all of your users are put in an Active Directory group called domain users. So for the script to work, and I have for the script to create bulk of Active Directory home folders in the folder called biochips, I need to put the domain users Active Directory group, put it on this folder and give it permissions. So we will share the folder, and then we will put domain users group to have full control over this folder, and then we will run the script to create the bulk of folders for every user in my Active Directory. So this is biochips, and then I need to after sharing it, I need it to be hidden. Why? So not anyone can access the other users folders. So now we have shared it, and then we need to put $. So if you put $sign to your shared name folder or share name of the folder, this will hide the share. Okay, I will show you all how, even after hiding the share, how users can access their folders. I will show you all this, but anyway, we will do this, and then we need to put certain group here to give it certain permissions on the folder. But domain users, okay, here we can't get it, so here he will not get the group. I tell him domain users, so we can't. If you tell him domain users, we cannot get it actually. So what we will do, let me show you all so we can pass it real quickly here. So what we will do, let me show you all. So here again, let me show you all this again. Let me show you all. So what we will do here we will have we will share the folder called biochips. We will share it and then give the domain users full control over the shared folder. So we will share the folder using the PowerShell, and then we will give another group called IT global group. We will give it full control over the biochips shared folder, and then we will have another group called UN Army all. This is a group that contains all of my users in the domain, exactly like domain users. Okay, so we will share the folder of biochips using this line, and then we will give a group called UN IT global full control over the shared folder, and UN Army full control over the shared folder, and remove everyone from this shared folder. So all of this, but we need to change backgrounds, so we will do this. So let's see this now. So this is the way that you can share the folders using the PowerShell, not the graphical interface. So now we will make it one by one. So this is domain users that will have full control over the folder. Okay, so we need to do all of this before running the script. So we will run this one. So we will run this line, and after doing all of these 3 lines using the PowerShell, we will use our script to create the Active Directory home folder. So now we will go to the PowerShell, and then we will create, or we will go to the D partition. It's not necessary anyway. So we will paste the script. Now we will share the folder biochips in the D. Okay, so now we'll press enter. And by the way, this is SMB share permissions. We need to do the same for the NTFS permissions. So now we are sharing the folder. it is already shared, but everyone it is there and have read permissions, we need to remove them. Okay, and then we will run the second line. It will grant the IT global group, okay, full control over the server. This is the IT group, so we tell him paste and then press enter. Now we have domain users full control, UN global full control, and then we will have UN army also full control. So we'll right click and paste and then press enter. Need to remove everyone. The last line is to remove everyone from it. And then press paste, and then press enter. So now we are ready. Now we need to do the same permissions here, okay, to the NTFS permissions. So we will go to the folder and open the security tab and see. First of all, we need to go to files and sharing, but before that we need to open the biochips, right click and properties, and add the security permissions or the NTFS permissions. We will do the same, the domain users, the IT group, and the army all. So now we will add a couple of Active Directory groups, domain users. So we'll do the same, domain users. Okay, here it goes, domain users. Okay, and then we'll have UN IT, and then check names, IT global, and then okay, and then we will have the UN army. So remember, these are the three groups we have given them SMB share permissions. So army all, and then the three groups will have full control over the folder. Okay, so now we will tell him okay, then we will give them full control. Okay, and now we'll do this, and then after that we can run the script. So we have shared the folder, give it the permissions that we need. Now we can run the script that will create the bulk of Active Directory home folders. Okay, now we can go and open again. First of all, we go to the file shares. You can see that biochips, it's already shared. Okay, so now we need to run the script to create for every Active Directory user a home folder, and also not this, and every folder for every user, he should have full control over it. So now we can go and run this script from the Windows Admin Center. First of all, we need to check the location. We need to change the location first. Okay, save it. And then run. First of all, we need to make sure that this folder doesn't appear in the shares on this server. So if you tell him the server name, and then here we can see that these are all of the shared folders on the file server, but take a note that the biochips is not listed here, okay, because it is hidden. How we can access a hidden share? We will type the name of the folder and then the $sign. Just a moment, guys. So let's continue, guys. Here we can see that the biochips folder doesn't appear in the list of the shared folders. Why? We can't, because it is hidden. How we can access it? Let me show you all how we can do this. If we can, here we can see that no sign of biochips. So we will access biochips by typing the name, then the $sign. Why we have this folder hidden? So the users in the Active Directory can't access each other folders. We will specify that every user will see only his folder. Here we can see that the biochips folder, it's already accessed, but first no folders are still created. So now we will save the script and then we will run it. So we'll close the script. Then we will go to the Windows Admin Center and open a PowerShell. First of all, we are closing all of these unnecessary things. Now we can go to the PowerShell. Okay, and then we will run the script. So we will go to the D, departition, and then we will run the script, or we will go to the folder of the scripts first, cd scripts, and then we will run the script. Dir first to list the scripts or all of the things in the folder, and then we will type create tab home and then press enter. Now we will have a notification for every successful creation of a home folder for a certain user. So let's see, we have about 4,430 users, so it will take a little bit of time until they are all created. So here these are the folders, and they are created according to the username of the user. Okay, we can wait because there is a lot of things here. So they are created because there are 4,000 users. If we go a little bit further, now we need to check and see if the home folders are created or not. Now we have everything created. If you go to any user, okay, from any army, and check a certain thing, for example, if you go to army camps and then check any one of the users, for example Adam Franklin, he's in the Air Forces. If you go to profile, you can see that his folder, this is his home folder, and it is created according to his username, and he will see it as a mapped network drive called L. Okay, so this is a successful creation of the folder. We will go to the bioships folders and check if there is folders already created or not, and this user, he is the only one that have full control, or this folder, it is only controlled by the user called Adam Franklin. We will check this in a moment, but wait and see. So we have all of the folders are created. So if you go to the biochips folder, so we will disconnect, yes, and then we will close the admin center. Now we will check the biochips folder and see if there are folders created or not. Here we can see that all of the folders are created. Okay, so let's, for example, check one of the folders and see what permissions are on them. So for example, this is one of the users. If we go to the properties and to the security tab, here we can see that he is Abraham Abukov. Okay, so he is one of the users. He has full control over his folder. So this is the user, and he has full control over his Active Directory home folder. We will check this from the edit. If you need to check advanced and see the permissions, so you'll have special permissions. Okay, he is the user, and he will have special permissions. These are full control over his folder. Okay, so every user will have full control over his Active Directory home folder. So if I go, for example, to my IT group, I have the global IT group. If I go to my username, open it here, now I can see for profile tab, here is also my user and my home folder. So this is the one. I think our video are coming to an end. Now we will shut down this PC, and then we will shut down both domain controllers, but with a third way. Every time I shut the server, I shut it from the sconfig menu and then the menu 14, or type a command shutdown/p in the command prompt. But now I will show you a third way to shut down the servers without doing the two previous ways. So let me first shut down. Here what we will do, here we can see that if we press this one, here is my primary domain controller. If we press this one and tell him to shut down guest, it will shut down or initiate a successful shutdown. So let's wait and see what will happen. Tell him shut down. Here we can see that it is shutting down. Okay, so it had initiated a shutdown, like if you type shutdown or you click shutdown. So this is a good thing. These are from the VMware tools, so we'll not be able to use this option unless VMware tools are installed on this virtual machine. Okay, so now we are shutting down the server, and then we will do the same for this is the secondary domain controller. We'll do this for the primary domain controller as well. So it is shut down. and then we will go do the same for this one. Okay, so this concludes for our video. In the upcoming video we'll begin working with securing our environment, so we have all of the things done, but before securing we need to install the WSOS, and maybe after installing the WSOS we will begin working with securing our environment, and this is the main core of our, or the main objective of our lab. So hope this video is informative for you all, and would like to thank you all for viewing. Thank you so much.